What's up, your boy Phone Another Reaction? In today's video, we have why Edge was John Cena's greatest rival by 20-minute promo. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let's get into it.
Feel scripted, and then there's some rivalries that just feel real. John Cena versus Edge felt personal in a way that WWE rarely captures anymore. It was the perfect hero versus villain rivalry. John Cena was becoming the face of WWE.
Uh, nah, I think Randy was his best heel, was his best rival in my opinion. Yeah, I think it was John Cena. But Edge second though, and AJ Styles, I say AJ Styles, whoever it's AJ Styles, I get that third.
The franchise, the guy who's transitioning from being the rapper edgy dude to the military, marine, hustle, loyalty, respect, say your prayers, eat your vitamins, John Cena. And as much as the kids loved him, the grown men were starting to grow tired of John Cena. And
Yeah,
Edge was the guy they wanted to replace him. But you see, Edge was the antithesis of everything that John Cena represented, where John Cena represented hard work and doing things the right way. Edge was like, nah, I'm gonna take the absolute easy,
the rated R.
slimiest, most disgusting shortcut I can manage, and in the process, I'm gonna steal your girl. 2005, Edge became a supervillain. Now, the feud between Edge and Matt Hardy is something I could make an entire video on its own. In fact, I probably will, so I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version here. Matt Hardy was out with an injury, Edge started riding with Lita, and then they started riding each other. Matt Hardy got pissed, got fired, but he came back, they ended up doing a feud.
Yes, it is. They're riding each other.
Edge became the biggest heel in the company. By the time he got to John Cena, man, this wasn't just a feud, it completely created the rated R superstar. The definition of what made Edge came from the DNA of this rivalry. And it forced John Cena to become WWE's franchise player, even in front of some of the most hostile crowds imaginable. Now, the mid-2000s in WWE was a weird transition period. We were moving out of the Attitude Era into the Ruthless Aggression Era. Now, the Ruthless Aggression Era was a more toned-down
The
version
Ruthless Aggression era was better than the Attitude era. Facts.
of the Attitude Era. I wasn't PG era yet, but WWE wasn't in a position where they needed to be forcing edgy content. They didn't have any direct competition with WCW. Not to mention in 2000, they became a publicly traded company. Was that 2000 or 99? I think it was 2000. Correct me if I'm wrong. But once you're a publicly traded company, the rules change. You're no longer just this private business. And with the Attitude Era leaving, so did a lot of the top stars of that era. Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock. There was a hole in WWE's main event scene. They tried to fill that with Brock Lesnar, but then Brock took a hike. 2004, 2005 was really a discovery period for WWE to try and find the next stars, the faces of the company moving forward. And on
This is what the fuck they need to be doing right now, trying to find the next stars.
Raw, Triple H, and Evolution, you had Randy Orton and Batista as the guys being positioned to some of the next big things. And on SmackDown, John Cena was crushing it in the mid-card. And he was getting himself organically over with his rapping gimmick. So much so that by 2005, WWE said, let's put the belt on this kid. So WrestleMania 21, where we officially crown the new era in WWE. Batista wins the Royal Rumble. He goes on to WrestleMania against Triple H, wins the World Heavyweight Championship. And John Cena challenges JBL for the WWE Championship, and he wins. So WrestleMania 21 crowns two new faces of the company in John Cena and Batista, but there's one more guy at WrestleMania 21 that was made into a star, Edge, because the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match was held that night. Edge won the inaugural match. And the thing with Money in the Bank at the time is nobody knew what it was. It was, you could challenge for the championship in a year, but if you go back to like the forums in the IWC of 2005 and look at some of the things people were speculating SummerSlam. That's where they assumed that Edge was going to cash in. Like, nobody had this idea of, oh, he's going to come out after a match where John Cena's beaten and bloody and cashed in. That wasn't a concept. That didn't exist. Money in the Bank was just an idea. People just assumed you're the number one contender that can kind of call your shot, but it wasn't, people weren't taking that anytime, any place thing literally. But if anyone was going to do that, it was going to be Edge. And Edge held that briefcase for, what, 10 months? All the way through 2005 through his feud with Matt Hardy. And at the same time, John Cena's holding it down as WWE Champion. Now they did a switch. John Cena went over to Raw. Batista went over to SmackDown. John Cena was holding it down on Raw, battling the likes of Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho. Brother was holding it down. By the time
Do you see all these stars, all these niggas, bro? Edge, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Batista, like, bro, Brock Lesnar.
we got to New Year's Revolution 2006, we had an Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. John Cena, he didn't win, he survived. He was beaten, bloody, could barely stand
Kurt Angle, like,
up, but he managed to be the last man standing and retain the WWE Championship. And then out came Vince McMahon. Vince said there's going to be one more match tonight, and out came Edge. He came out with the briefcase. He told something to Edge, which we would later find out was him telling Edge, "Prove me right," because a lot of people in the company didn't agree with this idea. They thought it was stupid. They thought, because this was just such an unproven concept. But I think Vince knew and Edge knew that for the character, this was perfect. So Edge comes out, hits John Cena with a couple of spears, 1, 2, 3, and Edge is now the WWE Champion, and what a shocking moment it was. The entire Money in the Bank concept was born with this match, with this moment. Edge becoming the ultimate opportunist was
you think you know me?
born here. It was the perfect gimmick for him. And at the time, still, it wasn't like this is what Money in the Bank is from now on. It's just like, this is the Edge character. Because next year when RVD won it, he cashed in the right way at One Night Stand. But the Edge method would become the meta. Because it's just over. That surprise, that shock of that person's music hitting is always going to be way more entertaining than just like a pre-announced match, because you can do that with anything. Money in the Bank, the fact that it was different and then it was surprising and then it was almost a guarantee because of the method that the person was going to become champion is what made it so exciting and so different and so unique. And Edge's world title reign, although it didn't last long, was some of the best TV Raw had in a minute, and some of the best ratings, and that's why it was so strange that they had to end the experiment for me if I was booking, because I just see, oh wow, the number, and that shock of that person's music hitting is always going to be way more entertaining than just like a pre-announced match, because you can do that with anything. Money in the Bank, the fact that it was different and then it was surprising and then it was almost a guarantee because of the method that the person was going to become champion is what made it so exciting and so different and so unique. And Edge's world title reign, although it didn't last long, was some of the best TV Raw had in a minute, and some of the best ratings, and that's why it was so strange that they had to end the experiment for me if I was booking, because I just see, oh wow, the numbers are going up. Clearly there's something with this Edge guy. I would have prolonged this, maybe had Cena win the Rumble,
Well, nigga, John Cena was their favorite.
or I guess Rey Mysterio was going to win that Rumble. Cena could win something, get his opportunity, and you could run this back at WrestleMania 22. But no, the son-in-law, Triple H, had to get his match at WrestleMania in a match that, whatever. It was
Like, that's crazy, bro. That nigga was, bro,
a triple threat match.
been put in positions he wasn't supposed to be put in because he was the son-in-law. Like,
Would have been better than what we ended up getting. But for 3 weeks, Edge was holding it down. And he started with one of the most infamous segments in Raw history, one of the highest rated segments in Raw history. Because y'all are a bunch of gooners, Edge and Lita had a live sex celebration in the ring. There was even some brief nudity that I don't think was intended, but apparently they were told they had to be really naked under those sheets to sell it. And I don't understand that, because if you're under the sheets, how would you know? But then again, I guess if there's going to be an accidental reveal, then you know it's real. 2006 WWE, what an interesting place. Edge would also have a TLC match on Raw with Ric Flair. Like, Ric Flair was what?
I don't do that, you know. Somebody had commented on one of my reactions, bro. Said, "Bro, you not even reacting to the video, bro. Chill, bro. I got ADHD five. Like, chill on me five. I know I be scrolling on my phone and shit. A nigga got ADHD. Chill on me five."
187 at the time. I'm kidding. He was like 57. I don't know. Ric Flair's looked like he was in his late 70s for about 30 years. That's what happens when you drink every day of your life for like 60 years. But he was cracked out, man. Edge was just the ultimate villain. And it led us to the Royal Rumble where John Cena, he won the title back. You know, the thing I loved about Edge at this time is he's not trying to be the cool heel. The cool heel thing, it's... Everyone loves a cool heel, and there's always going to be the cool heel. But I love the heels like this that just genuinely disgust you. They're just slimy. They're just gross. And even if people did like Edge, it's like if you're actually enveloped in the story, you're like, this guy's a piece of trash. It was like the perfect modern hero versus villain dynamic. But of course, wrestling fans are, I'm not going to use the word fickle here, but they just, it's the same thing with Roman Reigns with John Cena, because they saw the company pushing this guy as like the guy, the corporate guy, and so the fans are pushing back. I don't know if you remember, but even in 2000, if you go to like some of those like online forums, like RSPW, for example, which is like an ancient forum that goes back to like the early 90s, but they hated The Rock because The Rock was being pushed as the guy. So they hated The Rock. They thought The Rock sucked. They thought he was bad. All this stuff. If you listen to the crowd, you wouldn't
Now people hate that. Like,
think 1 second that people hated The Rock, but there were people in the IWC who hated The Rock. It was the same thing with John Cena. Literally every top babyface the company pushes. Now Cody Rhodes is getting the treatment. It'll happen till the end of time. People don't like the babyface the company pushes as the guy. People just don't like it. They don't like being told what to like. But then when you tell us who you like and you start pushing them, then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, why are you pushing this guy? I don't like him. Make up your damn mind. But the interesting thing about this dynamic that made it work is fans genuinely hated Cena and they genuinely loved Edge. Some genuinely hated Edge and loved Cena, of course. But regardless, there was a genuine hate and a genuine love. So there was genuine interest in the feud, regardless of who was your guy, if Edge was your guy or Cena was your guy. It was an interesting feud because you had a guy, you had stakes, you had a horse in the race, you had a dog in the fight. And it made the reactions for their matches and segments completely chaotic. And at the Royal Rumble when Cena won, man, he was getting booed. People did not want Cena to be the guy at this time. The fact that come WrestleMania 22, they were literally cheering Triple H, of all people, who would just come off the reign of terror, that tells you everything you need to know. Less about Cena and more about just how the fans were back then. They just, whoever was being pushed as the guy on top, they just didn't like. I didn't get that. I think people just inherently like to root for the underdog. And of course, Edge is going to be the underdog when it comes to Cena. But despite the fact that Edge lost the title in 3 weeks, I still think having this title, this reign, everything about this, and obviously this wasn't the end, this was just the beginning, but at the very same time, it helped both guys evolve into a bigger, better version of their characters. They were the perfect antithesis for each other. Edge helped define John Cena and who he was. John Cena helped define Edge and who he was. Cena was becoming much more polarizing, and Edge was becoming a genuine main eventer. And at WrestleMania 22, where John Cena went to war with Triple H in a polarizing match, Edge had a hardcore match with Mick Foley that became one of the most iconic WrestleMania moments of all time, where he speared Mick Foley off the apron through a flaming table. Backlash, there was a triple threat match between John Cena, Triple H, and Edge. John Cena ended up escaping that match with the title. And as we move towards the summer, now Rob Van Dam is Mr. Money in the Bank, and he calls his shot at One Night Stand to take on John Cena. This is where John Cena starts feuding with the ECW roster, starts having bangers with, banger, this is a match, with Sabu at Vengeance. Triple H had moved on to D-Generation X. They were reformed, fighting the Spirit Squad, and Edge was lurking in the shadows, waiting for his opportunity. And his opportunity would come at One Night Stand, where he showed up in a biker helmet and he speared John Cena through a table. Now, I'm not saying Edge wasn't doing anything. He was teaming with Mick Foley and they were fighting, I think, what was it, Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk? Pretty sure that was the match. Drawing a blank. No, that was the match, because that's where he pinned.
if Triple H get fired, Paul Heyman should be the creative. He know he know about wrestling. He know how to book. Like, Paul Heyman should be creative. He should get that job.
What's her face in a very uncomfortable manner. Edge, you slimy bastard. So he came out, speared Cena through a table. Rob Van Dam at the Frog Splash. Paul Heyman counted the 3. RVD is the new WWE champion. Edge screws over John Cena. And what this leads to was not the original plan, because RVD ended up getting pulled over and something he wasn't supposed. What do you think Rob Van Dam was doing? It's Rob Van Dam. But he got suspended. He had to drop the title, and he dropped it to Edge. So now Edge has officially been committed as the top guy on Raw.
Like, God damn it, Rob Van Dam. God fucking damn it, my nigga.
He is the rated R superstar, as you know and love. With Lita, with the belt. This is where he did the mock version of the spinner belt, which he was announcing the new belt. Like, oh my god, we're getting rid of the fucking toy belt. No, he just put his logo in the spinner. We're not getting rid of that spinner anytime soon. You better learn
Yeah,
it.
that belt trash. I'm sorry, that rated all that shit trash. I don't really like the spinner belt like that.
Love it.
Like you said, it looked like a toy belt. Like
I'm honestly a closet spinner belt lover. I know if you're an IWC person of my age, you're supposed to hate the spinner. I didn't hate the spinner. I thought it looked sick. I loved it as a kid. If you disagree, that's fine, but I don't care. I love the spinner, and I always will. I don't care if it looked like a toy. It was sick. Can you see 2009 Randy Orton with any belt other than the spinner? I can't. He made that shit look sexy. Speaking of not sexy, though, the feud with Cena, man, it got personal. Edge went into John Cena's home and slapped his dad in the face. John Cena ended up throwing Edge into the Long Island Sound. It got crazy personal.
but look at these segments, gay, the shit they were doing.
It was such an interesting dynamic between the two because it's like WWE stumbled on this dynamic of like both men are heels and baby faces depending on what crowd you're in. It made the atmosphere really unpredictable and just exciting, electric. But this led to SummerSlam 2006 where John Cena would get his match with Edge for the WWE Championship in Boston, Cena's hometown atmosphere. But Edge, the slimy bastard, would manage to escape with the title with the help of some brass knuckles. And honestly, it was a shocking moment because I don't think a lot of us expected John Cena to lose, Super Cena, but Edge, the crafty bastard, figured out a way to escape with the championship. And thank God, because I didn't want to see Edge as a transitional champion. Nobody wants that. He already did that once, we don't need to know. At least get one more match out of this, and we did. This was the climax of their first rivalry. Came at Unforgiven 2006. This show was crazy. This show had some crazy stipulation matches because you had the DX against the McMahons in Hell in a Cell. You had TLC with John Cena and Edge. Usually you're lucky to see one big stipulation match like that on a show, but you got two. And this happened to be in Edge's hometown of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And the stipulation for this match is if John Cena wins, he's the champion. If Edge wins, then John Cena is banished from Raw. He has to go to SmackDown. If you're an IWC person, you know Raw's not losing John Cena. But if you're not, it's like, oh my God, Edge can get rid of John Cena. No matter what, no matter who wins, this is the end. This is the finality of the feud, at least this version of it. And Edge chose TLC because TLC's his match. He already clapped Ric Flair in a TLC match earlier this year. Him and Christian were undefeated at WrestleMania in them TLC matches. This is Edge's specialty. So he's got John Cena not only out of his element because they're in Canada, but out of his element in a match type that John Cena has never had. Ultimate opportunist. Smart cookie. And this match felt enormous. This match was great. I enjoyed this match. Not maybe the best ladder match you're ever going to see or best TLC match because the feud was so real, so feasible, and you believed in it, and you believed the hatred, and Edge was such a good villain, and Cena, despite the fact that the crowd hated him, was still such a good babyface. It was exactly when it needed to be. Lita was taking bumps, John Cena was cracking out, Edge was cracking out, but it had to come to an end, and we got the iconic visual of John Cena hitting the attitude adjustment, or the FU at the time, on Edge, off the ladder, through the tables. John Cena pulls down the belt, and it's officially over. John Cena's the champion, and he would go on to hold that championship for about 370 days. He ended up
God damn.
dropping it just over a year later because of injury and no mercy. They ended up crowning Randy Orton as the WWE champion. I think the plan at the time was to have Randy Orton win the title that night in the last man standing match, but because of Cena's injury, they did the thing with Triple H, and the rest is history. Now, it's not like Edge was pushed down the card after this. Eventually, he ended up forming Rated R KO with Randy Orton, and they had a great feud with DX. Edge would fail in the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania, but that didn't matter because he ended up still taking the Money in the Bank briefcase from the winner, Mr. Kennedy, anyway, because Edge is a bastard. We love him. Then he showed up on SmackDown after a steel cage match between The Undertaker and Batista. Mark Henry had beat the shit out of The Undertaker, and then Edge comes out, and he cashes in a second time. And now he's World Heavyweight Champion. So Edge has moved over to SmackDown. John Cena's on Raw, so you have them on separate brands, and they're doing their own thing. But eventually, we know this has got to come around at some point. And this is where we got the final chapter in 2009. And initially we thought this was going to be the match for WrestleMania, but we had to add in the Big Show. But I'm getting ahead of myself because we have to talk about No Way Out 2009. This show kicked all kinds of ass. This show had two amazing Elimination Chamber matches. And starting off, Edge walked in as the WWE Champion. He had just won the title from Jeff Hardy at the Royal Rumble. And my man Edge, in like 2 minutes, got clapped by Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy sneaks a roll up on him while he's going for the spear. 1, 2, 3. Jeff Hardy eliminates the champion before anyone else even enters the match. And we're all thinking, what? What the what? Anyway, Triple H ends up winning that chamber match. And we go on to the main event where John
This nigga Triple H, bro. Like, bro.
Cena's defending the World Heavyweight Championship against, I think, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio, Kofi Kingston, Mike Knox, whoever the other person was. I don't remember. Doesn't matter, though, because my man Edge had a plan. He came out while Kofi Kingston was making his entrance, took him out, hit a concerto on him while he was face first in the steel steps, and he goes and hides in his pod, and I guess that means Edge is in the match. Now, I don't know what the rules entail. I don't know. I didn't know that was allowed. But if WWE is going to allow
They just made some shit up.
Brock Lesnar to run out and win a Money in the Bank match that he wasn't in, I suppose Edge sneaking his way into the pod is a little bit less insulting than that, so I'll take it. And we got a moment in this match where Chris Jericho hit the code breaker on John Cena, then Rey Mysterio hit the 619 on John Cena, then Edge hits the spear, pins John Cena, 1, 2, 3, champs out. Edge is like, he wasn't even supposed to be in this match. He started the show as the WWE Champion, and now he's in this chamber match, and he just eliminated the World Heavyweight Champion. Anyway, the final two of this match ended up being Rey Mysterio and Edge. Edge does what he did at the Royal Rumble 2008, and he beats Rey Mysterio, and Edge walks out the World Heavyweight Champion. Started the show as the WWE Champion, ended the show as the World Heavyweight Champion. Edge is 1 of 1. And this set up the match that I think a lot of us wanted to see. Like, WrestleMania 25 was looking so peak at this time. We're going to get Triple H and Randy Orton in this blood feud, and then we're going to get John Cena and Edge, to quote The Rock Band. Fucking goosebumps. But no, we had to get Big Show got added to this match. They did this whole thing where, because Vicky Guerrero and Edge had their relationship, but John Cena revealed some footage that Big Show was getting it with Vicky. Whatever.
But she was annoying as hell.
This feud was, I was just happy to see John Cena and Edge in the same match. But WrestleMania, John Cena is doing the spot where he's got Big Show and Edge on his shoulder, the double AA. John Cena hits the AA on Edge, on top of Big Show after. 1, 2, 3.
That's why that nigga fucking John Cena walk with a fucking arch in his back, a hunchback ass. I see how John Cena woke because of shit like that.
John Cena is once again the World Heavyweight Champion. And this leads us to our finality, our final match, our final stop on this incredible rivalry. Backlash 2009, Last Man Standing. And the main thing about this build is this one promo, you may have seen it, between Edge and John Cena on an episode of SmackDown. I'm not going to break it down. You can go back and watch it if you want to. But it personified everything. The entire feud, the emotions, the feelings between these two, John Cena. He's just over it at this point. Edge has tried every slimy move in the book, and he is overcome every time. He's like, enough is enough. We need to end this. And Edge just pours it out on him. I hate you. I hate everything that you stand for. Because they're just such polar opposites. They're yin and yang. They're oil and water. They're as far apart ideology-wise that you could be. And it's what made this work so well. And we got to Backlash. And Edge won. Now, he didn't win clean. The Big Show got involved, chokeslammed John Cena through a spotlight. But Edge, technically speaking, vanquished John Cena. This feud ends with Edge on top. Now, I get it. They had like a Raw match in 2010 where John Cena won. I don't care. That doesn't count. Shut up. Edge.
Yeah, that wasn't the rivalry no more. That was just a regular match.
Won the feud. Now, a lot of rivalries are remembered for the great matches, like CM Punk and John Cena, obviously remembered for the pipe bomb.
Oh, shit. I forgot about CM Punk. No, I'm sorry. I'm putting CM Punk and versus John Cena number 1 for me. Randy versus Cena second. Edge versus Cena third. And AJ Styles versus Cena fourth. Yeah. I forgot about it. John Cena versus CM Punk. That's number 1 for me. I'm sorry, bro.
But obviously the Classic in Chicago at Money in the Bank, the Classic on Raw in 2013, the match they had last year at Night of Champions. The Randy Orton feud is just remembered because, well, they had some good matches and feud, but it is more because WWE just shoves this idea down your throat of this the greatest thing since sliced bread. No, I've always said this, I always will say this, John Cena's greatest opponent in his career was Edge. It was his greatest rival. I would argue he had better matches with CM Punk, but still, Edge is John Cena's...
Yeah, CM Punk versus Johnson, they had everything, bro. Amazing 5-star matches, good mic work. That's why I'm sorry, CM Punk versus John Cena number one for me.
Greatest rival. He is his Lex Luthor. He is his Joker. The feeling that we got from this feud, indescribable. One of the greatest wrestling rivalries of this generation. It felt like WWE genuinely found lightning in a bottle and they struck gold with it. And honestly, this might have been the rivalry that made both of them. But I want to know in the comment section below, what did you think about Edge, John Cena, that whole
Yeah, it was amazing feud, you know what I'm saying? I love the Edge, you know what I'm saying? But mission comes to try, but deuces.